The Internet, an invaluable educational resource. Any child old enough to punch in a few letters on the keyboard can access the world, and also hidden dangers. That's why it's important to be aware of what your children see and hear on the Internet, who they meet, and what they share about themselves online. Dangers exist in every part of our society. By educating our children to these dangers and taking appropriate steps to protect them, parents can keep their children safer while on the Internet.
You're sharing information and you don't know where it's going. This is a vast, it's kind of like a black hole. Your personal information goes in, but you don't know who's getting access to it. So it can be a very dangerous thing.
You can control your child's access to adult material and help protect your child from Internet predators.
The Internet has benefited us personally, in business, government. It's a great thing. But with it has brought the criminal element as well. And we see both locally and nationwide predators who utilize the Internet to try to lure children into doing things that they shouldn't do, lure them and entice them to travel to engage in illicit sexual activity. And again, it's a problem nationwide, but we've seen it here locally as well.
We hear about Internet predator stories every single day in the media, but people don't realize how close it comes to home. This affects us directly, it affects us daily, and we have to take it seriously, we have to do something about it, and education is the best answer.
Internet predator threats decrease when parents educate their children about Internet safety.
You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to know a lot. You just have to be observant and be a part of your kid's life.
And I think it's important to keep in mind that even though this is a new threat, this is a different kind of threat, the same types of safety mechanisms are helpful. Communication, knowing what's going on, especially with parents, knowing what's going on with your kids, limiting their access. It's kind of similar, I think, to a lot of the other times that we've been afraid of new technology.
Just like any safety issue, talk with your kids about your concerns. Take advantage of resources to protect them and keep a close eye on their activities.
And just like yesteryear, where you would say to your child, well, where are you going to play? Parents have an obligation to ask their children, well, where are you going on the Internet? And when your children used to go out to the playground, you would check on them to make sure that they were at the playground. And as parents, we have an obligation to check where our children are going on the Internet. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. You're not spying on the children, you're doing your job as a parent.
Half of the 16 and 17-year-olds say their parents know very little or nothing about what they are doing online.
The kids grow up with this. The parents have not. So there's a little bit of an intimidation on the parents' part because the kids probably know more about the PCs and the computers than what they do. So that offers a big threat, I think, from a parent standpoint and from a child standpoint.
Parents may not be very tech savvy, or even if they're tech savvy, they may not know much about how to control what's going on. I think there's a feeling of loss of control, worry, anxiety, sometimes feeling that the child knows much more about what's going on than the parent does.
Here are a few basic Internet safety tips to teach your kids. First, never give out personal information while in a chat room. Also, never send their picture to someone without your permission. Remind them to never write someone who made them feel uncomfortable. And above all, make sure they never meet with someone without your permission. People online may not be who they say they are. Someone who says that she is a 12-year-old girl could really be an older man.
I think kids are naive. They don't understand that things on the Internet, they're not real. They could be real, but they cannot be real. And they don't think of that. They are so innocent. They think that the person that they're talking to is telling them the truth. Just because they're typing and they're telling the truth, why not? So they take things for granted, and then they get sucked in before they even know where they're at or what they're doing. They're had. And that's a sad thing.
The problem has become very severe, and we as adults who have grown up using computers as tools, as assets to make our lives better, don't understand that the children of today use this to gauge society as we use television. And whereas in our childhood we were watching Mayberry RFD and Andy Griffith, you know, the children today are exposed to all kinds of things on the internet, things that we would not agree to or want them to see. And it's becoming a societal tool. You look, you see what people are wearing, you see what kind of clothes to wear. In situations where people are being used as examples, where a child was beat up and put on the internet, it directly affects their lives.
I mean, let's look at their world. And let's look at the life that they lead compared to example life that we led. It's much more complex, it's much faster, technology is there, so it's a little bit different.
1 in 3 teenagers plan to meet someone they have contacted on the internet. A lot of parents think it will never happen to my kid. However, there are sexual predators online searching for children 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, sending messages to hundreds of children a week.
A lot of parents think that this will not happen to my child. And we see that in the cases that we work, that the parents say, well, I never thought my child would do something like this, or I didn't think my child was vulnerable to this. But the people that we're dealing with, the criminal element, are very, very adept at grooming children and trying to ingratiate themselves and building a rapport where children, you know, are lured away to do things that they wouldn't normally do.
As we grow and as we mature in our life, I think that we learn that everything has consequences. Unfortunately, I think a lot of these kids, they get into a situation that they're dealing with a predator and they don't understand that things have consequences. And sometimes the consequences of some of what turns or what starts out to be a very innocent thing on their part can turn into a very deadly thing. And before you know it, you know, they can be dead. That's pretty dramatic. That's pretty, it's pretty scary, actually.
The biggest problem that I see is kids and parents who have let technology kind of creep in and take over. Being aware of what the technology is and how we let it into our homes is really critical.
Take an active role in your child's internet activities to ensure that he or she can benefit from the internet's wealth of valuable information without being exposed to potential dangers. To address this issue, Metro Councilman Doug Hawkins held an internet safety seminar to educate and empower parents to rise up to the challenge of becoming their children's first line of online safety defense.
This was the best seminar that I know of. It attacks the internet safety from three standpoints. Number one, from the law enforcement standpoint, we had an FBI agent there. They attack it from an internet technology standpoint, and we had internet professionals there. And then they attack it from a child psychology standpoint, why children are fascinated with this internet. They had a child psychologist there. And it's the most comprehensive seminar that I know of.
Oftentimes parents may hear from a law enforcement officer or a school person, but we bring together in this seminar 3 different disciplines: the law enforcement, child psychologist who can help parents understand how they can communicate and dialogue with their children, and then somebody who's very computer savvy to help the parents understand how they can recognize what their children are doing online, look at potential problems, and understand the software that's out there to help parents police what their children are doing.
We're on the front end of this. These seminars have been done before, but they need to be done. People need to become more aware of them. People need to come out and see these seminars, understand how predators are coming after your children, understand how predators lure your children in, why psychologically your children want to put their faith in people that they don't know who they're even talking to. It is a shocking seminar. It is very informational though, and it's very important to be aware of what goes on.
With caution and common sense, the internet can be a safe and rewarding experience.